a 25th consecutive season. The Florida Suncoast, returning American champions and more world in the Pirelli World Challenge than ever before. 2014 starts now. Revs coming up, we're green.
Big move coming off the 3.
2, 3, 4 abreast in some spots.
Side-by-side action.
He absolutely nailed it.
Three-way battle.
And we've got an incident. You would expect nothing less.
Oh, clips the inside apex.
Very racy.
This is going to get interesting.
That is a brave move. What a pass. This is what World Challenge is all about.
For the 5th consecutive season, the concrete-lined streets of St. Petersburg will play host to the opening rounds of the Pirelli World Challenge. It's time for the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by StopTech. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Greg Creamer, and it's a pleasure to say that I'll be joined once again for the full season in the booth by Calvin Fish. And Calvin, so much to talk about, but let's get right off. I think one of the biggest pieces of news is the 25th consecutive season. That's a quarter of a century uninterrupted. That's unheard of.
It really is incredible, and we're coming off such a strong 2013 season. Lots of competition, but we've maintained the momentum. It's bigger, it's better for this year, for sure.
In huge growth, and a lot of that's going to be talked about in a minute, but let's talk GTS quickly. We've got the returning champions in that great team, but the players that made it so interesting in 2013 are back too.
Well, Archambault got the championship. He won the last race at Houston, which he needed to do to get that championship. Baldwin sort of like led most of the way in the year and lost it in the last round. And don't forget Kia, they're back. Wilkins came so close to the championship last year. Nick Johnson is there. He showed a lot of speed last year, just didn't have the luck that was needed.
And Baldwin swept St. Pete last year, so that's the benchmark here. Now, the big stories, honestly, are in GT. First of all, a new category, GTA. It's a place to recognize the non-professional driver. They'll be going for their own special award, as well as the top finishing driver being recognized at each event. But in GT proper, huge news.
Well, we've got the full integration of the FIA GT3 spec cars. They look spectacular. They're going to be quick for sure. But how will they stack up against one another on the racetrack? It's a true melting pot of technology, and they go up against the benchmark in this series, Cadillac and Johnny O. They're going for 3 straight championships, but it's going to be awfully tough this year.
And that's making a guy named Scott Bove, the president and CEO of the Pirelli World Challenge, grin from ear to ear. And he's standing by with our third member of our broadcast team, Jeff Lepper. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Greg. Well, we can't be more excited about this season. We talked in Houston about the GT cars. Here we are in St. Pete now.
You know, I like to think there was an off season, but we've been pretty busy since October of last year. Certainly extremely pleased with the progress we've made, the development of the GT field and GTA development this year. And the GTS field is continuing to develop. Extremely pleased with the progress we've made. The homologation of the GT3 cars, the platform, has been a great development for the series. Those cars run as is, as developed, as homologated. You don't touch the car, you run it as is, you use our graphics, and that platform has been successful for the teams and a great opportunity for us to grow the GT field. The GTA class, the gentleman driver, the driver who historically over sports car racing has been the backbone of sports car racing, have an opportunity to be on the podium, to fight for the Sportsman Cup, BRM Sportsman Cup this year. Really exciting for all of them to compete, and all of them welcome the series and welcome the opportunity to be here. It's always great to celebrate a silver anniversary. This is our 25th year, a quarter of a century of sports car racing. What a great milestone that we have made as a series. But to celebrate our 25th year in a year that is going to go down as the best year in the series history, what a proud moment for all of us in the series, and I'm grateful for our sponsors. I want to thank Pirelli for their involvement and all the teams and drivers.
And the excitement doesn't stop there. There's a new category within GT called GTA, and it brings a new team called Effort Racing. Here's more from team principal Michael Mills.
The new GTA class enables a guy that's not been racing very long, or not a pro, or kind of developing his skill, to be able to compete with the GT guys and progress through the year, and not necessarily be at a disadvantage for a championship, and also gives them the opportunity to race in a GT car against factory guys, factory cars, factory prepared efforts. What it'll do is it'll draw more gentleman drivers to the sport, and it also, what it will do is draw developing drivers to the sport. So it will really increase the prestige and value of Pirelli World Challenge. For me, obviously I want to compete as high as I can in the GT ranks. I mean, I'd like to do as well as I could in GTA. But again, it's that carrot out there in GT that I want to compete in. I want to prove that I can be there with those guys. I've wanted to race World Challenge since 1996. I mean, I used to watch this on TV. So to be able to be involved in this right now is really just a dream come true for me.
Well, it's great to finally be able to recognize the non-professional driver in this ultra-competitive GT class. Time now for our Moat Tool race analysis. And Cal, it's got to start on this track with the size of this field.
Amazing. 53 cars were entered for this weekend. Ultimately, close to 50 cars will see the green today. And weather looks great for today's race. Close to 70 degrees, sunny. Track is 14 turns, 1.8 miles. But what it means is every mile of racetrack, there's going to be 27 cars going for it.
And two different classes at the same time, so different closing rates. It is indeed going to be a spectacular race. And that's going to lead us into our Pirelli storylines. And there's plenty of them here, Cal.
Certainly are. The GTS and GT champions return. That's Ascherbach and O'Connell. Can they retain their titles? We're seeing that explosive growth in the GT class with the integration of the FIA GT cars. GTA category within the GT class, that'll be fun to watch this year. Getting familiar with new faces. Many of these drivers are making their series debut here this weekend.
And Cal, you talked about one of the great stories here is the return of Lawson Aschenbach, our defending champion in GTS. Last year here, the first time they turned a wheel in those cars was at this track. They end up as champion. It's a different story in 2014. We asked him a bit earlier, who his competition's going to be this year?
Great to have the #1 plane on the side of the car, and you know, we had a dream year last season. It was a little bit unexpected, you know, obviously, but we knew what we were doing. We have a great team. These guys were obviously more than capable to do it, and yeah, we just kept our heads down, kept fighting, and to be able to come out with a championship was a great feeling. And I think we're in a very good spot. Coming into this season with a lot less unknowns is going to help us a lot. It's going to help us tremendously, especially with the development of the car. You know, we've got a new tire this year that we're going to have to develop and change a little bit. The setup's obviously going to be slightly different because of that, but we've been able to have this, you know, it's almost like a full circle. We've talked about how we came here last year. We had such a different setup on the car, and then we've come back to something totally different that we never actually thought we would ever be running. But that's one of the beauties of racing. It's expect the unexpected a lot, and I think it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you fighting all the time, and we're, like I said, we're excited to go.
Well, Lawson Aschenbach certainly very capable, Cal, and we're looking forward to what he can do in this season.
Yeah, he's going to have a tough one here, though. Jack Baldwin was undefeated here last year into the double victory, so when he starts on the pole.
Absolutely. Now, of course, the other champion in the GT category is going for a three-peat. The question is, and we asked him this earlier, Johnny O'Connell, how do you do that?
You know, when you won a couple of championships, especially in the row, you know, you know what you have to do in order to repeat. Sometimes, you know, people might get a little bit complacent. That's not the case here at Cadillac Racing with the team or with me, especially knowing that this season we're going to have a lot of new fast drivers and some very competitive cars. To me, this is probably the most exciting time in the history of World Challenge. You know, certainly everybody at Cadillac's excited, but, you know, when you start adding in brand new, you know, GT3 BMWs, Ferraris, Porsches, Audis, you know, you go down the list, you know, of the world's top performance manufacturers are competing here, making the series a destination for drivers. That's a place you want to be. We've learned a lot of tricks over the years, and not just how to make our car faster, but also racecraft. And you know, I'd like to say that, you know, when it comes to racecraft, there are not many guys that are, say, more crafty than I am. So yeah, we're going to rely on our wisdom and be hopeful that our Cadillac runs fast.
Well, Johnny O'Connell, immensely talented, certainly capable, and that Cadillac team is one of the absolute best. So I wouldn't bet against him, that's for sure. Now, Cadillac also gives us at each event the Cadillac Key Corners, a look at the very distinctive and important corners at each of the racetracks. Well, here at St. Petersburg, it's Johnny's teammate, Andy Pilgrim, who's going to give us the tour.
I'm Andy Pilgrim with Team Cadillac, and this is a lap of St. Petersburg. We're coming down this straightaway. It's actually a runway coming into turn 1. Heavy braking. You'll see all the paint so slippery here coming into turn 1. Come around turn 1. There's the little cones there. Absolutely crazy through here. Very tight with traffic. Turn 2. Accelerate through here. Turn 3. Heavy bump coming into turn 3. Coming out there. Very fast 4th gear corner. And down the straightaway here. A lot of bumps. Street course, as you can tell. And we're heavy braking here down to 2nd gear. 2nd gear, turn right through 4. Then a quick turn, turn 5. Accelerate through turn 6 here, totally blind, down to turn 7. Turn 7, right-hander, a lot of camber changes here, still in 2nd gear, up to turn 9, 9 here, and now we've got the kink, really, really fast, flat out, almost flat out, very tough kink here, left-hander, coming up to turn 10, heavy braking, down to turn 10, carrying a lot of speed here, down to, again, second gear. Come through here, can't touch that curve, it's too big. Coming out towards the S's, very quick S's up here again, third gear S's, right, then a quick flick back to the left, turn to the right, coming through here, long 180-degree turn onto the straightaway, which is really a runway, and really wide here. A lot of passing happens here, and we are coming up to the end of a lap at St. Pete, and that is your Cadillac key corners.
Well, thanks very much, Andy. That was intense, as has been the weather here so far this weekend. Kind of affected things on Saturday, but today we're ready to go green, and we'll be back to set it up. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by Sunoco Race Fuels, fueling victories for 5 decades. By the Cadillac V-Series, the 556 horsepower CTS coupe, sedan, and wagon, the world's fastest family of cars. And by Pirelli, power is nothing without control. And we are back at St. Petersburg for the opening round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships, the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, brought to you by StopTech. And I'll tell you, this track, this is the 5th year, as we've said, that this is the host of the opening round of the championship. It presents some wonderful challenges. One of them is the focus of our Motul braking zone, Calvin, turn 1.
Absolutely, Greg. This is the fastest part of the racetrack. Getting a good slingshot off at turn 14 launches you down this front straightaway. Top speeds in the GT cars approaching about 150 miles an hour as you get into that Motul brake zone. The cars with ABS will be working those systems really hard here because those painted lines off the airport runway are very tricky, very slippery, but it really is the best opportunity to pass on this race circuit.
Well, and you talked about brakes, getting the car slowed down. StopTech has been a great partner of the Pirelli World Challenge. We've got a couple of words about StopTech from Ryan Kim and Jack Baldwin, both sides of the wheel.
StopTech is really excited for the 2014 racing season. We're not only the official brake system supplier and official sponsor for Pirelli World Challenge in its 25th year, but also the official brake friction for the series. We take everything that we learn on the racetrack and with working with professional race teams in World Challenge and embed that into our street products.
I'm asking a lot from my brakes. They're right there where they need to be every time. When I come down that straightaway, I'm running as hard as I can run. I hit that brake pedal hard. I totally rely on the brakes to get it slowed down. It's one of my advantages.
2014 is going to be a big year for StopTech, not only in World Challenge, but also in off-road racing and circle track racing. And what that means for you is that you will have a product that's been tested and you'll get the right product for your type of driving.
I love StopTech brakes. I love their brake pads. Never been disappointed. Never had an issue. It's unbelievable.
So once again, a huge thanks to StopTech, a great partner, as we said. Now, the opening round was supposed to have been yesterday on Saturday, but as I said, it got rained out. So qualifying, which would have set that grid, now will be applied to what will become the opening round of the championship here today. And let's get to our Motul GTS Pole Award winner, and that goes to Jack Baldwin. He was undefeated here in the 2 rounds last year, and he laid down a very quick 1:23.453. He is on the pole. And in GT, Tomas Enga making a return to this track. The last time he was here, he had a big wreck, but he is here with the Ryder Engineering Lamborghini Gallardo. He is on the pole at a blistering 1:13.429, our Motul Pole Award winners. So we are set for race 1 today, an absolutely beautiful day. Looking forward to some great racing, 50 minutes in duration, some of the most marvelous cars you're ever going to see. And to set this field in motion, it is time for that most famous command in motorsports. Let's get down to the front of the grid. And Cadillac's Global Marketing Director for the special words, Jim Verpilot.
On behalf of our friends at Optima Batteries and StopTech, and all of our Cadillac dealers, owners, and fans worldwide, welcome to the Cadillac Grand Prix at St. Petersburg. Drivers, start your engines.
Well, Jim Verpilot from Cadillac sets the cars in motion, and with that, the Cadillac pace car. Again, they are such a great partner of this series, providing that beautiful CTSV pace car. As it sets off, it is time for us to get to the starting lineup, and it is a beauty. On the overall and GT pole, number 25, Tomas Enga, first time back here since 2007 in his Ryder Engineering Lamborghini, and Anthony Lazzaro with the Ferrari of Ontario Ferrari. Row number 2, the 94 of Dane Cameron in the Northwest Tuner Motorsports BMW, and Andy Pilgrim in the Cadillac CTS VR. Row number 3 is double defending champion Johnny O'Connell in his Cadillac CTS VR, and our top GTA category qualifier Nick Mancuso in his Ferrari of Lake Forest Ferrari. Row number 4 is Albert von Turnen-Taxis in the Ryder Engineering Lamborghini, and Alex Figge racing again for K-Pax, but this time in a McLaren. Row number 5 is all GTA category drivers, Andrew Palmer in the Global Motorsports Group Audi, and Marcello Hahn in the Blau Ryder Engineering Lamborghini. Row number 6 is Mike Hedlund in his Dragon Speed ESM Ferrari, and the number 14 of James Safrone, second in the championship last year in his Global Motorsports Group Spider Thermal Club Audi. Row number 7 welcoming Tim Bergmeister to the series in the Effort Racing Porsche GT3R, and Henrik Hedman in his Dragon Speed Ferrari. Row number 8, youngster Robert Thorne in his K-Pax Racing McLaren, and veteran Brett Curtis in his Valspar Spectre Resources Global Motorsports Group Audi. Row number 9, Jeff Courtney in his Kenda Rexstuff Audi, and the number 41 of Michael Mills in his Effort Racing Porsche GT3R. Row number 10, Jim Taggart, this year racing in GTA in a Porsche sponsored by Smart Charms, and Tim Pappas welcoming him back to the championship in his Black River Caviar Mercedes-Benz SLS. Row number 11 is Dan Knox in the beautiful SRT Viper GT3R from ACS Manufacturing, and Mike Skeen in the Hawk Performance Nissan GTR. And wrapping up our GT field, number 95, Bill Ziegler, the Swisher Racing Global Motorsports Group Audi.
On the GTS pole, it's Jack Baldwin in the Reset MD Porsche Cayman, who swept both races here last year, alongside the champ, Lawson Archambault in the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro. Row 15 is Andy Lee, who had 5 poles last year in the Best IT Racing Camaro, alongside our Detroit winner from last year, Dean Martin, in the Rehagen Racing Mustang. Great performance by Tony Buffamonte in the Ford Mustang. He'll line up 5th in class, alongside series debutant Jack Roush Jr. Row 17 is Drew Regetz in the Aston Martin GT4 for TRG, alongside young Alec Udell, who's now 18 years old, in the Motorsport Development Group Ford Mustang. A brilliant qualifying performance for Rick Boucher in the Nissan 370Z for SFR Enterprises, alongside Mark Wilkins, so close to the championship last year, for Kia. Row 19 is the rookie Jeff Reeves in the Best IT Racing Camaro, alongside David Sturks in the Ford Mustang for Always Evolving Racing. Nick Johnson in the second of the Kia Optimas lines up on row 20, alongside young Ernie Francis Jr., also campaigned as Chevy Camaro here last year at St. Petersburg. Row 21, it's Brad Adams in the Capaldi Racing Mustang, alongside Eric Davis in a similar Ford Mustang. Row 22, it's Don Ishtuk in the Audi TT RS for RS Works Racing, alongside Mark Clennon for Breathless Performance. Row 23, Nick Asayan switches from real-time to TRG in his Aston Martin GT4, and then it's Robert Stout still developing the Scion FRS. Row 24, Mitch Landry in the Motorsports Development Group Ford Mustang, alongside Tony Gaples in the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro. Row 25, it's Chris Outzen for DWW Motorsports in the Ford Mustang, and Buzz McCall in the second of the Reset MD Porsche Caymans. On row 26, it's Jorge De La Torre for TRG in his Aston Martin GT4. And the final runner in the field today will be Fernando Cerfilas for the Breathless Performance Racing Team in his Chevy Camaro.
So that sets the field, and as always, we're going to have some amazing views from inside the cockpit, giving you the driver's perspective with our Kia Quad Box and some awesome GoPro camera shots. And with that, folks, take a look. The Cadillac safety car, again, another a part of the great partnership Cadillac has with this series. The beautiful Escalade, that is our safety response vehicle, as it's ready to do its job, which is hopefully nothing more than just sitting and watching some phenomenal racing, because that is what is coming up next. Stay with us. As the field comes up to its starting spots, it is time to get the Pirelli World Challenge season opener for 2014 underway. Round number 1, the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Pete, brought to you by StopTech. It's an incredible field. Some of the world's most sought-after supercars, some of the great pony cars, that white Lamborghini on pole, the red Ferrari alongside, with those 2 Cadillacs in 4th and 5th, Cal, they may have an advantage here.
Absolutely. A lot of these GT3 cars do not have their launch controls fully developed yet. They will not be utilizing that action here today, but the Caddies do. And I think for O'Connell and Pilgrim, they really need to get a good jump here and hopefully do it together. Maybe they can play the race that way.
Having a look right there at the size of the GTS field. Again, the pony cars, along with the Kia Optima Turbos and the Porsche Caymans of the gentleman who is on pole, Jack Baldwin. A huge field. We are getting ready for the opening round. 50 minutes in duration if it goes green, right around 40 laps, give or take. And we're watching that guy in the center of the track to give that wave of the green flag. Once he does, that will indicate that the grid is clear and we are ready to go racing. Apparently he's having an issue. He wants a couple of the cars to stack up just a little bit closer, but that's all that we are waiting for. There's the final instruction. Boy, this is a stunning field, Calvin.
It really is. It looks beautiful, Greg, but everyone will be getting very antsy. This is taking a little bit longer than it normally should as we wait for those final few rows to line up correctly. If guys have got it in gear, it's very easy to overheat one of these clutches right now.
All right, he's making his move to the back of the field. The official is. Watch for that flag to wave. That's the indication, and then we should be going racing. Remember, the lights will come on when they go out. We're racing. All right, he waves the flag. The field is clear. Watch for the lights to go out. We will be underway with round one. What a glorious day here in St. Pete. And oh, and a jump in the back. That's costly. And a couple of cars have stalled. Oh, it's going to be mayhem. Everybody eventually somehow looks like they may have skated through, Cal, but Thomas Enga, the pole sitter, got buried.
He absolutely did, and looked like Lazaro got a brilliant start there, and just amazing that these cars are filtering through this very tight area through 2 and 3.
Yeah, what we talked about was the Motul braking zone, and the one on these standing starts is the Motul compression zone. I'm stunned at that level of driving. When the stalls happened, they were able to make it go. Big move by one of the Cadillacs there. Could not quite get it done. Settles back in. Cameron had an awful start. He's buried in the pack there. You can see that yellow and blue BMW Z4. Yeah, big struggles there, and I think it was James Safronis may have been the guy that moved a little bit early. We'll try and confirm that for you. But as you can see, there's the pack, and what a fabulous start by, I believe, the number 21, the GTA driver, Andrew Palmer. Well, I think with Enga's bad start, that affected everyone else on the front end of this grid. So this has been a real mix-up from what we saw in qualifying. This will be thrilling to see how this shakes out right now. Yeah, and right there, I mean, you've got a couple of those white Lamborghinis from Ryder Engineering, but the one best placed is Prince Albert, the German nobleman who is running for the Ryder Engineering team. And with Enga having that problem, he was able to go through. I mean, Enga looks like he's going to slot back almost to outside of the top 10, Cal. A horrific start. Look at Pilgrim. He looks down to the inside. Andy is one of the best overtakers in the business. He's really decisive side by side through turn 1. That was on Andrew Palmer, the young GTA driver. Won last year's Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series, then went to Europe and won the World Finals, but does not have much racing experience. And he tried to stay with him around the outside. Mancuso gives him a look. That's essentially, Cal, the battle for the GTA lead. It is, and Palmer saw him coming and immediately moved over towards the apex, said, don't even think about it. But this is the perfect start for Anthony Lazaro. He said, my car doesn't come alive quickly. It takes longer to get those tires up to temperature. Then the car is brilliant. By being up front right now, he is in the perfect spot now to have that Ferrari's pace really come to him. Yep, nobody in front. He can really start to open up a margin if he can try and get away just a little bit. And remember, folks, GTA, it's a subcategory. It's just a class, a category, more accurately, to recognize the non-professional driver. They are still running for overall position in the GT class proper. But I'll tell you, some of these GTA guys are doing a superb job. They really are. I mean, there's some stunning talent in the GTA designation of the GT class. So here we see Pilgrim. Everyone talked about these GT3 cars. Here comes the World Challenge spec. Cadillac to the inside. He takes the lead from Anthony Lazaro. And you can see the professionalism, the knowledge of Anthony Lazaro. Even though he doesn't have a lot of World Challenge experience, he is an incredibly talented, experienced driver. He saw that Andy had the run, had the pass made, didn't try and turn in on him, tucked back in and said, this is still a long race to go. But Andy Pilgrim from 4th into the lead. And again, it's that experience and the Cadillac team and how well these cars are sorted. Cal. They are really well sorted. They did a 2-day test at Barber on their way down to Florida earlier this week. Certainly got the final little bit of development done as they start their championship year. But Pilgrim, he's run here at St. Pete 11 times, has never seen the victory lane podium. He wants it here today. He's been on fire this weekend. Won a championship in 2005, but it's been that long since he's had another one. What a great way to start things off. And Andrew Palmer now is starting to heap some pressure on Anthony Lazaro and Nick Mancuso in the team car. That's the R Ferry Motorsports team out of Canada. Got both Lazzaro and Mancuso are running for. And look at Palmer coming up on Lazzaro.
He is a very impressive young man. Spoke to James Sofronis in the offseason. He said, boy, I have got a talented young kid under my wing for this year, and he has shown it. Just a handful of car races in his career. Won the Super Trofeo World Finals last year, and that is really something to talk about in that early stage of his racing. But right now, he is putting the pressure on Lazzaro for second.
Let's go back and see what's unfolding in GTS, and it looks as though Andy Lee has gone around and picked up the lead in that Crown 7. Best IT number 20, that white Camaro right there with that big black stripe right down the center of it, chased by defending class champion Lawson Aschenbach.
There's Dean Martin. He looks to the inside in that blue Mustang. He's looking for a way through. He wants the lead of this motor race.
So it is that fierce at this point. Very close indeed. Let's have a look at the top 4 in the classes as we're going to step away early in the going here at round 1 at St. Pete. The Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by Motul, the official lubricant and brake fluid of the Pirelli World Challenge. By SRT, because daily should never be routine. And by Kia Motors and the Kia Optima. It is not your average midsize sedan. Andy Pilgrim continues to lead here in round 1 of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships here at St. Petersburg. The Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Pete brought to you by StopTech. And Andy Pilgrim parlayed that launch from a good start up into a great run at this point, leading from Lazzaro, Andrew Palmer, Nick Mancuso. Completing the top 5 is Alex Figge in the McLaren. But really this whole thing, Calvin, was sort of teed up by what was an absolutely chaotic start here. And I'll tell you one thing, that everybody able to pick their way through it was fantastic. Nick Mancuso taking a look down the inside of Andrew Palmer for third, couldn't quite get it done. And Tomas Enge running door to door for just a moment there with his teammate, getting around Prince Albert, Von Turnen Taxis, and that moves now Enge up into the 7th spot.
Yeah, Rob Paulson is starting to turn up the heat here, and he's doing a good job being very disciplined in carving his way through this field. All weekend long, he's been the fastest car on the racetrack. That poor start has really buried him right now, but on a street circuit like this, you have to show some patience. But bear in mind, it's a timed race. If there's any kind of caution in this, time may run out for you, so you can't wait too long. You got to be decisive. Here we see Cameron. He's trying to fight his way through the pack as well. I think he got involved when Enge had his poor start, right behind him on the grid, of course.
Well, one of the nice things for all of these competitors, they are running on Pirelli's P0 slicks. It is a tire that has been proven time and again that you can push it to the extreme and it will remain racy. And Pirelli, they are geared up for a big year, as Rafael Navarro tells us.
When you go live on the broadcast and you see the grid of what we have amassed here, it's so exciting. Big shout out to the people at Pirelli World Challenge. We've been hand in hand in the trenches with them, laying the groundwork and the foundation for what's manifested itself here at St. Pete. From our perspective, we're ready to go. We've done a fair amount of testing. We brought in some new sizing that's in line with the GT3 specification for the teams here. And I think that's given us a nice wide margin and a performance window for the teams to extract maximum performance from. You've got McLarens, you've got Ferraris, you have Porsche, Aston Martin, Cadillac, Audi. These are all our brands that we supply at the OEM level on the street cars, and then you've got these magnificent teams racing them here on the track. Doesn't get any better.
And right now, Andy Pilgrim, no question, is leaning on those Pirellis as he is stretching that margin out up to almost 3 seconds at this point. But Calvin, we talked about that chaos at the start. Let's take another look at it.
Well, look at the left side of the screen, the right side of the grid. There's a pulse at Enge. You see Sofronis get a bit of a jump. I think everyone got antsy. Enge stalls. Cameron had nowhere to go. O'Connell was right there as well. We had to wait for Enge to get the car refired before Cameron and O'Connell could get going. O'Connell further into this lap had some kind of drama because he's buried at the back of the field right now. So everything just trying to sort its way through turn 1.
All right, and right now we're going to take a look at our Optima Batteries best standing start, and it was a miraculous one considering all that confusion and surviving it. It's the number 12 Hawk Performance Nissan GTR of Mike Skeen going from 22nd to 12. at the end of that opening lap, helped obviously by some of that chaos, but was somehow able to thread the needle. So congratulations to Mike Skeen, as we just had a great look now of Andy Pilgrim drawing away. In the GTS category, it's still Lee over Aschenbach with Martin, a very solid third, but Andy Pilgrim now, Cal, is starting to work into the back of that GTS field. This is when it gets crazy.
It does, and you would think that Andy would want to be just pacing himself, but I think what he wants to do is create a bit of a buffer, Greg, so that he can take his time picking his way through those GTS cars. So great performance by Andy in the opening laps here. He's created a 3-second gap over the rest of the field. That gives you time to think. You don't have to really force the issue too much, and this is going to be something that we're going to see throughout the course of the remainder of this race, is traffic. You've got 27 cars per mile. It is hectic out there.
There's a good look at that hot performance Nissan GTR. Mike Skeen, who got that Optima Battery's best standing start. They continue to work on that and evolve it. Oh, and we've got a car off. It's the 98 Ernie Francis Jr.
Damage to the left rear, Greg.
It sure is. That is that Breathless Performance Camaro into that relatively short runoff area, but something has gone wrong. Was it contact or did something break? Don't know at this point, but nonetheless, he is off. We'll have to see how that plays out. Where he's located, of course, the officials are going to be looking very closely at. Is that going to require some sort of a caution at this point, as Pilgrim working through the last turn onto the front straight?
Doing a great job there. You can see the buffer now. There's no other GT car on the front straightaway, so that's the margin that Andy Pilgrim, our leader, has. Here we see Ernie Francis Jr. just gets really wide there, coming through turn 7, has to hit the escape road down into turn 8, so major damage to the left side of that car, and that's a shame. That's a team that doesn't have a massive budget, Greg, so this will hurt them big time.
Yeah, and look at that little bumper sticker on the back there. You've been passed by a 16-year-old. Last year that said you've been passed by a 15-year-old. So clearly having some issues. He is probably, well, he's done for the day. It's a matter of will he sit there or will they decide they're going to have to move him out of the way. These corner yellow flies right now, but we stay green. We're going to step away for a moment. Here are your leaders in each of the classes. In GT, it's Andy Pilgrim. In GTS, it is Andy Lee. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by HPD, Honda's North American Racing Company. By Porsche, Intelligent Performance. And by the Fiat 500 Abarth, small but wicked. This Pirelli World Challenge broadcast is being brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, AMG Customer Sports. By the Cadillac B-Series, the 556 horsepower CTSV coupe, sedan, and wagon, the world's fastest family of cars. And by HPD, Honda's North American Racing Company. Andy Pilgrim has opened his margin up in an absolutely fantastic drive to the better part of 8 seconds here in the early going of the opening round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships, the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Pete, brought to you by StopTech. It has been a superb run. Here, though, is your GTS battle. It is fierce. That is the number 20 Crown 7 Best IT Camaro of Andy Lee, chased by the Black Dog Speed Shop of the number 1 Lawson Aschenbach. Yes, indeed, that number 1 means he is the defending class champion. Not too far back, though, Cal, is the number 50 of Dean Martin, and the guy who had a tough start and has clawed his way back into it, closing, making the move now. Jack Baldwin looks like he's going to go down to the inside of Martin. Oh, the squeeze,
they touch,
and again.
Dean Martin, one of the most aggressive drivers out there. He didn't want to give that position. Jack was forcing his way through. We can see those Camaros taking off a little bit. Really tight quarters there down in the brake zone for turn 4.
But so far, they were able to emerge unscathed as they're coming up on a little bit more traffic here. Martin down to the inside, trying to let that car know he's there. Will he stay out and let Baldwin through? Nice job.
He did, but it cost Baldwin some time. There you can see he's dropped a couple of car lengths, but everyone thought that Jack was really under control here this weekend. He's been super fast in all of the practices and in qualifying, grabbing that pole, but this is a surprise with the Camaros up front.
So Baldwin continues now to work his way up after that problematic start where he got caught out just a bit, sitting between the two Rehagen Motorsports Camaros, right behind the Picture Cars East entry of Dean Martin, right in front of Tony Buffamonte in the team car. That is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, but, excuse me, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And look at this. Oh, we've got Brad Adams in the Hoodoo Dat Dog machine, and another, a big get-together, the 7 GTA Porsche of Taggart, and one of our always evolving Autotopia cars, the 75 of Davis. And this one, Cal, this might bring out the full course yellow, and we get word, full course it is.
Yeah, 2 different parts of the racetrack. One incident is down in turn 10. And that's a different area there up in turn 4, I believe. So no option but to go for our first full caution of the weekend. In fact, these guys have really behaved really well with this massive field, competing on the racetrack at the same time with the two classes.
It has been very impressive. I mean, it's not a full course caution to be had in any of these sessions. And right now, that's an indication of what can happen. You've got one of the GTA cars, which is a little bit farther back in the overall GT grid, and one of our GTS machines, and just racing for position. We're going to see if we can show you what may have occurred here, Cal.
Oh, look at this. Tag it all the way to the inside. And he's just going to get in there really deep, just unabated speed. Oh, that was a big hit.
Got to the, that inside there, very low grip probably in that area. Just once he got there and got trapped there, he was pretty well committed. So that's going to lead us into a bit of a break here. So let's take a look right now at the leaderboards, the top 4 in each of the GT and GTS categories as we step away for just a minute. Don't go anywhere. This is how racing should be. The top sports car racers in North America. 50-minute, door-to-door, all-out sprint races. Standing starts and 0 scheduled pit stops. A battle of the brands with over 18 manufacturer brands racing. Watch us on the NBC Sports Network and online at world-challengetv.com. The Pirelli World Challenge. This is how racing should be. The Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by Grassroots Motorsports, the hardcore sports car magazine. Subscribe today. By Optima Batteries. With up to 3 times the life and 15 times the vibration resistance, Optima Batteries really are the ultimate power source. And by Ford. Go further. And we are back at St. Petersburg for the opening round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships, the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, brought to you by StopTech. And there has been so much action unfolding, so many developments in this series. One of them involves the step from real-time racing from GTS up into GT. Not here this weekend, but we have the pleasure as a result of having Petey Cunningham, team principal, and driver joining us here in the booth for just a couple of minutes. And Petey, obviously big step for both the team and for Acura, and clearly you guys wanted to get it right, so we'll see you just a little bit later in the season.
Right, yeah, it's great to be in St. Petersburg. It's an incredible field here for the 25th year of this Pirelli World Challenge Series. But yeah, we don't have our Acura TLX here, but we will have it in Detroit. And we just can't wait to get it out to go and rub fenders with all these fantastic cars.
It's an amazing lineup here, and obviously that's the reason Acura wants to be here.
Absolutely. This new TLX is a brand new platform, a very important model for Acura. And they wanted to see it out on the track, and it's going to be fantastic. Twin turbocharged, direct injected 3.5 liters, 4-wheel drive. It's going to be pretty cool.
Boy, we can't wait to see it again. That'll be happening at Detroit, Petey. We got some of that great action you're talking about that's unfolding on the track right now. Really appreciate you stopping by. Find a good seat and watch this one.
Absolutely.
Boy, I hate it to see Petey sitting next to us and not out in this track competing right now. Tough break for him, to be sure. And we are getting close to going back to racing. Obviously, that caution before we went to break unfolding. And they're in the process of doing the wave round, Cal. But here's the incident that unfolded.
Well, you can see Tagger all the way down the inside. When you're on the wrong side of the racetrack, you don't see your braking marker either. And he just T-bones the 75 car, turns him in the fence. Just massive impact there. A little bit of a mistake. Dirty part of the racetrack as well.
And obviously now they're still working on the cleanup there. And I think you had mentioned it while we were in the break, Cal, that when you make a move and you're on the complete other side of the track on a street course, sometimes you can just completely lose your reference for braking points.
Absolutely. It's high speed. Tires have got to come up to temp, obviously. And, you know, it's just a dirty part of the racetrack. No one's been running over there. So it's easy to get sucked in like that. I mean, you're trying to get aggressive, you're trying to make some moves, but suddenly that braking point that you had on the left side of the racetrack, you can't see it in your peripheral vision, and there's cars suddenly there and everyone's stacking up and funneling through turn 4.
We're at about just a little past halfway. Remember, folks, this is a 50-minute timed event. Had it gone green, it would be around 40 laps. This caution will probably mean we'll get a few less laps unfolding in this one, but we are continuing. Just to give you an idea here, Andy Pilgrim, there's only as we're seeing it right now. A few drivers, 3, that have gone below 1 minute 15. Andy Pilgrim had a 1 minute 14.9 on his third lap, a 1 minute 14.8 for Tomas Enga in that Ryder Engineering Lamborghini Gallardo as he was trying to come back up after that problematic start. But the fastest guy on the track, Dane Cameron, in that Northwest Turner Motorsport BMW Z4 GTE machine that has been so impressive, a 1:14.2, fast lap by over half a second.
Well, the car has been quick all weekend, Greg, and Dane's certainly one of the best in the business, but he just got buried there at the start. When Enga stalled, he had literally nowhere to go, had to wait for him to move before he could move. But you know, it's a good thing for this yellow right now. They've cleared the GTS traffic out of the way. He lines up 7th. He may have something to say about the end of this race.
That's true. There is a wave around, and what they do is they just get any of the GTS cars that are mired in between the GT field. They pull them out, let them go by, come around to the back. So when we go back to green, the GT main group of GT cars will be racing unimpeded by any traffic for a while. And of course, that means they're going to be able to go. Now, whether there was traffic or not, Andy Pilgrim was throwing down some laps. He built that margin up before that caution to almost 10 seconds.
He had, and I was surprised at that because everyone said these GT3 cars have so much more aero than the World Challenge spec cars. Everyone thought they would dominate on a track like this. We saw it in qualifying. Looked like they had about a second over the caddies, but Andy is just hooked up. They've really got a good race setup on that race car, and he just took off from Lazaro. Lazaro's been telling me all weekend, I need the car to wake up a little bit quicker. He had the lead in the early going and then just dropped back a little bit from Pilgrim. But I think he's going to be looking in his rearview mirror. He's got 2 young chargers right behind him there, and Nick Mancuso and Palmer, they're coming after him.
And Enga right behind them, and we know what Tomas Enga's all about. He's got himself a little bit of a settle to score. He scored to settle here. 2007, leading in the ALMS race in GT1, had a big wreck. He had the pole, he had the fast lap, and then didn't have a finish, missed a couple of races. So this one means a lot to him. Real quick, the GT3 spec cars, and again, this is the only series where these GT3 spec cars come as they are FIA homologated, not detuned, if you will. A lot more aero, but the trade-off for them is a lot less suspension adjustment modification. Is that what we're seeing here? The aero maybe not making up for the great setup on that Cadillac, and the fact that those caddies, that traction control, they have got that perfected.
Well, they do. They've got that perfected, and they have track knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a notebook to work from. So many of these teams are here for the very first time, and it makes a difference. I mean, you can look back at last year's notes, track temperature, what did we need, what did we put on the race car, how effective was it on the long runs. These other teams are learning as they do each lap here this weekend.
And we're getting word from race control, lights going out on the pace car. We are going back to green here on the streets of St. Petersburg for this first round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships in its 25th consecutive year. Absolutely fantastic, Cal, coming to green.
It really is, and you got 2 of the most experienced guys in the business leading the guys back to green, then 2 young chargers right behind him, then Thomas Enga, the pole sitter, right there in that white Lambo going through the final turn.
And only a couple spots back from that, the fastest guy in the track prior to the caution, that blue and yellow BMW of the ultra-quick Dane Cameron. Boy, Andy bringing him up slow, wants to use that V8 torque to good effect. We're green. He launches, and right there, Palmer making the move, and Tomas Enga swings way down to the inside. Cal driving down to the apex. He's got Palmer, couldn't quite get Mancuso.
Prince Albert looked for the way through as well, and Cameron had to tuck in right behind him. He lines up 7th. Then it's Hahn and another one of those Lamborghini.
In racing, they give no quarter to noblemen. It is earn it. And boy, I'll tell you, he has been extremely impressive. Now,
get to the inside of Mancuso. He takes 3rd. Great restart lap for Thomas Enga, our pole sitter.
And Cameron trying to swing around Albert, couldn't quite get it done there. So he's lost touch just a little bit as they funnel through. There's Cameron, there's Figgy in that incredible McLaren.
Yeah, my mistake is Figgy there right in the hunt as well. He won the first race here last year, was dominating the whole weekend, and had a mechanical in race 2, so he is red hot around this racetrack.
Watching this incredible field funnel through. That's the very quick kink now into turn 10. Tricky corner that as it comes back at you right there on the exit. And Enga heading into the ultra-fast 11-12 chicane. Is he going to try and make the move into 14?
He goes the long way around. Lazaro protects the inside. Enga said the great part of my car is the launch off of this car. He says I get off that turn 14 so well, and that gives me the straightaway speed that I need, and he's going to need it right now. Lazaro moves to the middle of the road.
And Lazaro able to get a little bit of a gap. Enga swings back to the outside. All of this, of course, allowing Pilgrim to once again open it up. Enga in a little too hot, and here comes Mancuso. Couldn't quite take advantage.
No grip out there. He just tried to make an outside move. He couldn't find the grip, had to wait on the race car a little bit. Mancuso looked for a way through.
So this action absolutely furious at this point. Cameron trying to get down. Prince Albert can't make that pass. We're going to step away for a moment. Here are your leaders. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering. Visit AudiUSA.com or schedule a test drive today. By Chevrolet, by New Roads, and by the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving, internationally recognized as the leading authority in driver training for 46 years. Welcome back, and the action is incredible right now, Cal, but it's for second as Pilgrim continues to draw away, but Lazaro is in full-on defense mode against that white Lamborghini Gallardo for Ryder Engineering of one Tomas Enga.
Well, I think why Anthony having to be defensive here is costing lap time and is allowing our leader Andy Pilgrim just to take off. What a perfect scenario for Andy Pilgrim right now. There's battle right behind him. They're holding each other up a little bit, and he is just taken off. Here's the battle in GTS. Andy Lee continues to lead. The champ, Oshenbach, right behind him, and then it's Dean Martin in that blue Mustang.
And right now, as we're on board, or we're watching here this battle with Oshenbach, we're going to go on board because he is our iBox suspension cam, and he is torturing these suspensions right now on the street circuit, bounding over the curbs in this incredible battle, and these iBox suspension components are up to it, but boy, do they get tested on a street track.
Oh, it's the ultimate test because the surface changes, the bumps, everything's working hard, but right now, oh, a bit of a problem down here in turn one.
Yeah, it's one of the
Camaros,
Camaros.
I think.
Yep, the 29, and one of our Aston Martins, the 04, having a problem as well.
GTS leader Lee continues there to hold off Oshenbach. The Camaro is looking really strong here in race trim. But Dean Martin, I said it before, he is really aggressive. Give him a sniff of the lead. He's going to be going for it.
That's exactly what he did in Detroit, and boy, did he make it work, ending up winning the second one in only his second start. Andy Lee feeling the heat. Then it's Oshenbach, the black Camaro. Then you can see the little flash of the lights there by the Dean Martin car. That is the Picture Car Z Sentry. Back up front, Enga has yet to be able to find a way around the very impressive Lazaro, using De La Torre there in the 04 Aston Martin as a bit of a pick, keeping Enga behind him again.
Look at this stack up. We said that Lazaro's car didn't come to life as quickly as he wanted to. What that means is just the suspension setup that we have on it, it doesn't generate the heat in the tires early in the run. So that's what Anthony's been fighting, and I think that's having an effect right now. He'll try and get back into a rhythm as the car finds a sweet spot.
And you know who quietly has been having a pretty solid race, using the yellow to good effect, up from 13th right now into 8th, is the 31 Effort Racing Porsche GT3R of Bergmeister. He's closing up with a back of Figgy right now. Meanwhile, here we go. Enga trying to do the wider run through the corner, and Lazaro gets clipped by Sefurlis, trying to go around Sefurlis. They had contact. Depends on how bad the damage is on Anthony's car. That's going to slow him up. Enga going to make the big dive move to the inside. He's through cleanly. Lazaro might be wounded.
He may be wounded. There's certainly some carbon fiber fly there in that incident. Enga, though, we've been trying the outside move, finally moves it to the inside. Now he's going to try and hunt down Pilgrim.
So we're going to step away for just a moment, take a look at the top 3 in your categories. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, as Dane Cameron down underneath picks up the 6th spot from Albert von Turnen Taxis. Albert comes right back at him, trying an outside move into the chicane. Boy, that was some brave racing. And I'll tell you, Prince Albert showing he belongs at the sharp end of things, dicing it up with no less than Dane Cameron right now, and having a superb run. But here's the question. One, now will Enga be able to track down Andy Pilgrim? And this isn't over yet. We've got these 2 young guns. That is Palmer having a great battle.
Oh! Prince Albert gets a little bit wide down in turn 1. Can Dane take advantage? Side by side there through 2 and 3.
And no, Cameron wasn't quite able to get through and do anything with it, but this is an intense battle right now. And of course, as we were going to break, we had that incident between Anthony Lazaro in the Our Ferry Motorsports Ferrari when he got together with Fernando Cifuentes in that GTS Camaro. Meanwhile, here is Andy Pilgrim, and all of that action behind him is playing into his hands perfectly.
It has, but certainly Enga has a lot of pace right now. He's coming after him. The last lap, he was nearly a second faster than Andy Pilgrim, so he's going to try and chase him down. Our pole setter, a man on a move right now, the Czech, Thomas Enga. He's had kind of a checkered history here at St. Pete. Had a massive crash here in 2001 through that 2-3 complex, broke some ribs, but comes back. He wants to get that victory.
All right, and as we are enjoying some of the great battles here on track. Ooh, a little tap there as Cameron gets into the back of Prince Albert. He's going to make the drive down to the inside, but it is, of course, Andy Pilgrim leading away. And I tell you, it's pretty obvious, as we're going to hear from Jim Verpelot of Cadillac, that they have not been complacent in prepping for the offseason.
We're really proud of what the team did last year. When you can win back-to-back manufacturers championships, or you know what, back-to-back championships in anything, there's a lot to be proud of. But you know what, the testament to the team is that about 2 days after that was done, they started working on this season because they know, you know what, everyone's going to come gunning for us again, but we got to raise our game that much more. What we're proud about of our racing efforts is that it's really changing the perceptions of the brand, and there's no better place to prove it than on the track. You're seeing more and more of that dynamic performance and capability, whether it's, you know, our base car all the way up to the Bs and then all the way through the race car. Every year our corral space is growing, so we have 50 owners that are going to be here this weekend at St. Pete, and their guests that we'll entertain, plus our dealer body. So it's a lot to get excited for, but there is that sense of pride, and that's what we see every day when we talk to our owners, is how much they love their vehicles.
And Andy Pilgrim driving the wheels off that car that Cadillac team and program have put so much heart and soul in. But behind him, Cal, speaking of driving the wheels off it, Tomas Enga, you can see the back end of that Gallardo swinging around. He is giving it some serious welly.
He really is, and he's chasing him down hard, but Andy Pilgrim has responded. The previous lap, Enga had about a second on him. That lap, it was only 1/10 of a second, so Pilgrim still has some speed in that caddy. I'm sure he's managing his tires, so he had something left for a charge like this at the end.
Just under 12 minutes to go. Pilgrim feeling the heat. Enga and Pilgrim coming up on a clump of traffic. Boy, he wants to time this. And Enga closing. Pilgrim swinging out. Blue flags flying from the workers. Pilgrim moves to the right, comes down the inside. Enga now within a car length. They are going by one. They are going by Istuk. They're both going to clear him. Yes, they do. Nice job by those two GTS cars. But Enga now within a half a car length.
Yeah, he's very close, and he takes a very different line in 14. He kind of double apexes it. He lets the car drift up in the middle, then cuts it back down. He thought that was his secret now as he puts the pressure on Andy Pilgrim down into the brake zone. Not quite close enough. That caddy is always so impressive in the brake zones. We saw it last year, particularly with Pilgrim making some brilliant moves. Now he's trying to defend that position under the brakes as well.
Just trying to see if Andy makes that slight mistake, runs it a little wide, loses a little momentum. And he doesn't do that very often, that's for sure. He's one of the best. But again, traffic coming up. Oh, that is Dean Martin's car. That has come to a slow. Something wrong with that number 50 as Pilgrim coming up on the back one of the Kias. Tim Pappas, a big shunt in that Mercedes.
Yeah, you can see the tire marks there as he turned it around. I think that's the exit of turn 3, but this will bring out a caution for sure. You can't have a car sit there in this high-speed part of the racetrack. That'll mean for Enga, he knows he's got to make a move now if he's going to do it, because we may be going caution right now.
Oh, and look at that scrap. Cifuentes again, he's got GTS traffic. The leaders coming around him. And Aschenbach takes advantage, gets by Andy Lee. Baldwin into third, and it looks like Andy Lee's got some damage on that left corner, Cal.
Yeah, he does. I mean, there's been a bit of argy-bargy around this circuit at times, but right now, Aschenbach, brilliant performance. What a run he did at Houston in the season finale to clinch the championship. He's starting off the season in the same way, it looks like.
Yeah, practice is qualifying. Racing, a whole different thing. But it is Aschenbach leading now in GTS, but hanging on in front and overall for GT, it continues to be Andy Pilgrim in the Cadillac. Don't go anywhere. The Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by StopTech. Championship-winning brake components and systems for racing cars and high-performance vehicles on the street or track. StopTech. Brake late, finish first. by Mazda, who reminds you that conviction, courage, and creativity are the Mazda way. And by the new Mini, the new original. The battle in GTS continues, as does this incredible scrap for the overall GT lead. Andy Pilgrim hanging on, but it is by a hair over Tomas Eng. The Czech, full attack mode. Look at that entry line,
Watch
Cal.
him cut back, though. He gets back on the power early, straight into the wheel. That allows him to get back to the gas pedal. And look at the run he gets on Andy Pilgrim down this front straightaway. Pilgrim can see him coming. He moves to the inside. Will Tomas Enger slice it to the inside? Traffic on the outside at the same time.
Boy, Angus showed the nose for a second, but couldn't quite get close enough. Pilgrim doing a superb job of using the number 51 Sparco Nissan. The OS Geiken entry of Rick Boucher as a nice pick, but Pilgrim, all he's seeing, well, you see the top, Enga, last minute dive to the inside. Pilgrim says, you're not up alongside my corner. That's not enough. I'm closing the door, and Pilgrim able to hang on, and another of those Kia Optimas up front.
Sensational racing between two veterans there. Andy Pilgrim using every trick in the book to try and keep the Czech. Tomas Enger behind him. Enger hasn't raced in 18 months, but he's driving a race car every weekend and developing this Lamborghini, and it is showing. He is hungry. He wants a win.
Coming up and around Nick Janssen, they're able to get by the quick Swede in the GTS Kia Optima Turbo. They now come up through this ultra fast, I love this section of corners, 11 and 12. You feed it in almost flat, then dip just breathe it more than anything. And again, Enga using that wide in and then tight outline, trying, as you said, get to the throttle early. This time, he's going to try and use that green car. If Adams is a pick, can't do it.
Yeah, he's coming fast. He's coming fast. He's been really late on the brakes down here, but the Caddy has responded so far. Enga looks to the inside, really deep, makes the move, runs out a little bit wide. Good, clean racing. They may have just brushed bodyworks a little bit, but this is what it's all about, putting it all on the line for the win here on the streets of St. Petersburg.
I believe you call that straight lining to the apex. I mean, that he lengthened his braking zone by about 10 feet past the normal exit point. But again, Andy Pilgrim sensed it, saw it coming, and said, if I turn in, it's just gonna, both of us are gonna be out. You know, that's smart, savvy racing. He's probably not happy about it, but they're still both driving.
They're doing a great job. This is a fantastic race. And, you know, some people say, well, that was a little bit dirty. Well, he is forcing the issue, but he had plenty of racetrack there for Andy Pilgrim to make his way through the turn.
And now Enga catching traffic at the right time. Pilgrim might get caught. Does he get a little bit of a break here? Well, folks, this is exactly what fans of the Pirelli World Challenge love. One of the areas where the Pirelli World Challenge continues to set a very high standard is with social networking and social media. You can follow the series, of course, at world-challenge.com for all the latest news and views on the Pirelli World Challenge. Or you can check out cool in-car video, driver interviews, and watch this complete race and all the other Pirelli World Challenge races at world-challengetv.com. And, of course, you can search Pirelli on Facebook. Just look for the World Challenge fan page, interact with other World Challenge fans, and post your race pictures and video. And of course, you can find us on Twitter. You just have to join the World Challenge Twitter account at twitter.com/WC Racing. You can receive instant updates on race weekends from the series. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to be able to follow via all of those social networking avenues. Tomas Enga, Cal, he has turned a 1:13.7. Only guy I've seen into the 13s here. Not so much now as he's dealing with all this traffic, but when he's got clear track, he is gone.
He is. I mean, he had the speed. You could say it was inevitable that he would get the lead, but
Yeah.
Pilgrim was doing such a brilliant job. Just fantastic performance by Andy here today, doing everything he could to hang on that lead, but Thomas eventually forced his way through.
It has been spectacular. Here is a look at Enga's move to the lead, Cal.
Well, it's bumpy there, as you see. He just leaves the brake a little bit later, releases the brake pedal and try and just get inside of Andy Pilgrim. He saw him coming. Plenty of racetrack there. It's a good spot to do it.
So Enga is now your leader with Pilgrim in second, the immensely talented GTA driver Andrew Palmer in third, Anthony Lazzaro still sitting in fourth, and in GTS it continues to be Aschenbach over Lee, Baldwin, and Buffamonte. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge is being brought to you by Aston Martin. Brought to you by Aston Martin Racing, be part of the experience. By BRM, timepieces built with pure racing spirit. and by Eibach, the world leader in high-performance suspension. Today's coverage of the Pirelli World Challenge has been brought to you by Recaro, premium automotive seats. Experience the difference. By GoPro, maker of the versatile Hero line of cameras. By Nissan, innovation that excites. And by RaceKeeper, the industry's leading video data logger. Make your next lap your best lap with RaceKeeper. Welcome back as we're into the final couple of laps here at St. Petersburg for the opening round of the Pirelli World Challenge for 2014. It is the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Pete, brought to you by StopTech. This time by, Tomas Enga will lead this field to the white flag. It'll be one lap to go. Behind he, Pilgrim and Palmer, Lazaro, Taxis and Figge are having a great scrap for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Here we see O'Connell, who's many laps down, just trying to score some points here today on the opening round of the championship. Not the day he was looking for. Saw Cameron's car there, up under the shade of the turn 6 there. So he's had some kind of drama in the late going.
Oh, and Cameron was so quick early to see this happening. Hugely unfortunate. Yes, here comes Enga now. And he is working his way up through some of the GTS contenders. Enga coming around, looking for that white flag. Going by second in GTS, that's Andy Lee. Enga, the white flag flies. One more lap, 1.8 miles for the Czech to make a triumphant return to St. Petersburg, perhaps, where he had that crash that took him out of a number of races in 2007. Enga, and he's got a margin over Pilgrim.
He does. He's got a nice margin. That allows him to pick his way through this traffic cleanly on the final lap of the race. Great performance by he. Look at Aschenbach. He has got a massive gap now over Andy Lee. Biggest lead of the race. Baldwin is just hounding these guys. He sits there in third. Will that be enough for Jack? Will he be satisfied with the podium on the opening round of the championship? Remember, he swept both races here last year.
Yeah, and that Aschenbach's margin actually happened here in the last couple of laps. They just got caught out in traffic and GT cars like this coming up through them, and it just actually helped Aschenbach beautifully. Enga wanted to go by, but there's Martin's car sitting there, so he's got to wait. Let's see, does he make the move down into turn 10? You can do it, but you can't run wide in this apex.
Pilgrim's coming. He may have a last shot at this. It's going to be tough work because Enga is so quick through that final turn. This is where that downforce in the GT3 car really works through that high-speed chicane.
Now, let's see, does Enga use his wide open? He shallows it up a little bit. He didn't want to give any opening to Pilgrim to do something. Last-minute dive to the inside. Tomas Enga, the Ryder Engineering, Lamborghini, Gallardo, FL2, GT3. Welcome back to St. Pete, a big win. Pilgrim slices through, completing the second spot and filling out the GT podium. We're still waiting for that, but the GTS podium, Aschenbach over Lee and Baldwin. Just some fantastic racing. And let's see, Andrew Palmer now comes through and picks up third in the Global Motorsports Group Audi with Anthony Lazaro fourth. And I'll tell you, an impressive run by Prince Albert von Turnen-Taxis into the top 5 second GTA category driver.
What a motor race. What a motor race. And that area of the racetrack where Thomas is acknowledging the crash, where he had a massive crash here back in 2007. So he's come back and he's conquered this track.
He is absolutely ecstatic, as he should be. We're going to lead you into a look at the unofficial results here after the opening round of this Pirelli World Challenge here at St. Petersburg. And obviously, Tomas Enga is atop the overall podium, atop the GT podium. Just a fabulous run with Pilgrim in second and Andrew Palmer, fastest and top finisher of the GTA category drivers, completing the GT podium. In GTS, Lasse Aschenbach, he has himself the win. Andy Lee led so much of it, still ends up in second. And Jack Baldwin, after getting buried at the start, fought his way up into third, and just a superb run for him. So, wow, what a race we saw. What a season lies ahead in this Pirelli World Challenge. So we are looking forward to hearing from Tomas Enga about the charge back through the field after that stall at the start. He's down with Jeff Lepper.
Tomas Enga, start from the pole, but you had to have a come from behind win.
I can't believe. I mean, to be honest, I did not see the lights. I was standing, so much front, and we have a roll cage over there. I just could not do anything. So I was just looking to the mirrors when everybody else starts, then I started. I mean, big problem. But at the end of the day, we needed to put great show, and that's what happened today. So I'm really happy. After 1.5 years not racing, not being able to race, it is really a pleasure to be here. It is really great to feel. And for everybody, Writer Engineering, Mr. Milner, who was helping us here in America, it was really hard to get those Lamborghinis over to US. And we are very happy that we could show that those cars are the cars to have.
Well, what an incredible drive by Tomas Enga. Congratulations. Let's take a look at our GT Drivers' Championship. Pretty much mirrors how they finished in the races. It's round one, Enga over Pilgrim. Andrew Palmer, third. I'll tell you, a GTA driver, that was fantastic, Cal. And, of course, he'll top GTA.
Absolutely. What a great result for him with that overall podium. Right behind Andrew at the GTA recognition is the Prince Albert, of course, then Michael Mills, Courtney, and Curtis round out the top 5 there. And
manufacturers, again, mirrors how the manufacturers finished, so a great run for Lamborghini and Cadillac. Speaking of Cadillac, let's have a look, Cal, at our Cadillac CTSV move of the race, and it was the pass for the lead.
Yeah, just a brilliant move, just really hard racing. Pilgrim was late on the brakes there, middle of the road, and Thomas just took it in a little bit deeper and took the lead away from here. The fastest car on the racetrack, he had to make it happen.
And now let's get down for our winner interview with our GTS winner, Lasse Aschenbach. Here's Jeff Lepper.
Well, Lasse Aschenbach, you come in the GTS past champion, #1. You're #1 again.
Yeah, well, that was a tough race. I don't know what happened from qualifying to today, but we kind of lost the balance of the car a little bit. I don't know if maybe with the wet and so forth in qualifying might have affected the tires a little bit, but got to say hats off to everybody at Black Dog Speed Shop. Fantastic drive, fantastic car. We didn't, we were coming in here thinking we'd probably be like a 3rd to a 6th place car, but it's about to kind of squeak away with the win. We'll take it and get some good points and go to Long Beach.
Well, that is why Lasse Aschenbach is a champion. Now let's take a look at our GTS Drivers' Championship, again mirroring how they finished. Aschenbach over Lee, Baldwin, Buffamonte, and Jack Ross Jr.
And the GTS Manufacturers Championship presented by Kia. Chevrolet with that 1-2 finish, obviously lead from Porsche, and Ford sits there in 3rd.
Let's take a look at our Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Once again, going to Tony Gaples, the pass master, up 20 spots from 45th overall to 25th overall. Our key at turning point, Cal, had to be the incident that caused the yellow.
Yeah, absolutely, because Enga got stalled there at the start. He's coming through the pack. I don't think he'd have chased Andy Pilgrim down on a green racetrack, so that yellow really played into his hands today.
And our Motul Fast Laps Awards in GT, Tomas Enga, a sparkling 1 minute 13.786, and in GTS, Andy Lee's 1 minute 20.461 earned the Motul Fast Lap Award. As we show you a little bit of our Kia Rewind, it was an amazing race. It started with potential heavy weather and ended up with the postcard day.
It really was, and we saw the stalls there at the start. That created chaos. Everyone seemed to skate their way through there, fortunately, but just great action, great racing, hard racing, but fair racing, and ultimately to survive the street track here at St. Pete, everyone did an awesome job.
And the interesting thing, they survived the street track here at St. Pete. They get no rest from the street tracks because the next race, Long Beach.
That's right. It's really St. Petersburg is Long Beach of the East Coast. We head to the West Coast in a couple of weeks.
It is one of the legendary events, folks, so make sure you watch that one as well. Thanks so much for joining us today for this incredible start to the 2014 Pirelli World Challenge Championship season. For Jeff Lepper, for Calvin Fish, I am Greg Creamer, and I've enjoyed this one immensely. It'll be just as good at Long Beach, so join us there.